Don't expect that you're going to build a world-class podcast in just 30 days, 90 days. You have to play the long term.
Knowing exactly who your dream listener is. And I don't just mean knowing them at a surface level. I mean, you have to know them like they are your best friend.
Track your podcast performance. You can't improve something that is not measured. That means pay attention to the analytics across all the different platforms.
Some people think they're a great communicator. Jump in front of a podcast and you will really put your skills to the test.
Define the specific style of podcast that works for you. Welcome, legends, to Podcast Marketing Secrets,
where we share all of the tactics and strategies from the #1 podcasting agency
on how to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful, high-converting podcast.
Let's take your business and content to the next level. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Pod Marketing Secrets. Today is going to be a jam-packed episode. We are condensing down 8 years of podcasting experience into just 10 minutes. We've got a fair bit to get through, so we might jump straight to it. Nelson, what's your first piece of advice?
Number one, make your podcast on video format. If your podcast is only done on audio, you will miss out on all the repurposing that you can do, especially for short-form pieces of content.
Absolutely. All right, the second piece is pick a niche. For the love of God, do not try to target everybody. If you're looking to actually monetize, become an authority in your space and in your industry, you need to hone in on your specific niche, your target avatar, who it is that you're actually speaking to, so that your content and your message is actually resonating with people who will want to eventually buy from you, because that's what we're doing this thing for.
Number three, have short-term urgency and long-term patience. That just means that you want to get really impatient with the inputs that you're doing today, so that over the long term you can actually generate the results that you're after. But ultimately, don't expect that you're going to build a world-class podcast in just 30 days, 90 days. You have to play the long term, and you have to continuously improve your strategy, but focus on quality and volume of inputs.
I love it. It's good. All right. The next one is similar to what I mentioned, however, but it's going deeper, knowing exactly who your dream listener is. And I don't just mean knowing them at a surface level. I mean, you have to know them like they are your best friend. What are some of their pain points? To be able to speak into that in your content, they'll be listening to you sitting there thinking, holy crap, this person really knows me. They know what my pains are. And funnily enough, they have a solution for that as well, all right? So ask some deeper questions about them. What's keeping them up at night? What type of family breakdown do they have? Go to the depths, not just the surface level. What are their interests?
Absolutely. Number five, track your podcast performance. You can't improve something that is not measured. That means pay attention to the analytics across all the different platforms, but especially YouTube, Spotify. Those platforms give you really in-depth analytics. You can also, if you get a good hosting platform, you can get more in-depth analytics of your consumer, of the people that are listening, when are they dropping, what's the average view duration, your click-through rates on YouTube, your titles. All these things can be optimized so that you can get better results for your podcast. All right, that leads to number six. Turn your podcast into a marketing engine. This means that if you do your strategy correctly and you map out the exact type of content that you need to make, this content can help you drive more traffic to your business. If it's not done correctly, is when you just have a podcast as a hobby. That's not what we're trying to do here. The specific podcast strategy that we promote is for business owners, founders, and CEOs that want to not only become an authority, but also drive more conversions. In order for that to happen, you need to maximize the podcast episodes that you create so that it can actually power your marketing in itself, okay? Make sure as well that the pieces of content that you're using, you can leverage at different stages of your customer journey so that you can create pieces of content that target them at different stages of your funnel, from awareness to consideration all the way to actually turning into a conversion.
I'll actually let you keep going here because this is linking to our next point, which is defining your monetization strategy. Do you want to keep going?
There are so many ways to monetize a podcast, starting from sponsorships, from affiliate links, to actually having what we call a knockout offer. Other people might know it as an irresistible offer. So depending on your specific niche, target market, and your dream customer, you might develop a specific type of product that better fits your audience and their needs, or they might be a better specific avenue for you to monetize your podcast. So just try to get clear on which specific is going to be the best avenue for you to monetize. However, I can tell you straight away, if you're a founder, business owner, entrepreneur, your best chance of monetizing and having the biggest ROI from your podcast is going to be to have a knockout offer.
100%. Okay, that takes us into number 8, which is mastering your communication skills. Some people think they're a great communicator. Jump in front of a podcast and you will really put your skills to the test. You have to be able to concisely, accurately, and interestingly deliver your message to your audience to ensure that they are engaged throughout. You have to be leveraging tonality, getting really quiet to draw them in, and being really loud when it's absolutely necessary. Mastering your communication skills is going to ensure that you're keeping your audience engaged and that you are building those deeper relationships with them.
Number 9, define the specific style of podcast that works for you. A lot of people don't actually understand that you can have guest-based podcasts or a host and a co-host, just like we're doing now, but also you have solo style podcast episodes, which essentially is just you talking to a camera. And you can also have multiple people podcasts or panel type of discussions. So depending on what you're trying to do, what the goals are for your particular podcast strategy, this might change. However, just remember when you do bring a guest, because usually the tendency is that most people associate a podcast with a host and a guest. That's not necessarily the best use of a podcast system for a founder, business owner, or entrepreneur. Okay, so many times we actually want to be creating solo style of episodes in order to build you as the star of the show and your specific authority. When you do bring a guest, make sure that there is a strategy behind it and there is intention behind the person that you're bringing on. Maybe you guys have adjacent markets where maybe you are a buyer's agent and then you want to bring on a mortgage broker because your services complement each other, so that if you get exposure to the audience of your guest, you might actually benefit your business, and same vice versa for your guests. And remember, when you do bring a guest, you want to make them the star of the show. That's why we want to be intentional when leveraging guests for our podcast.
Number 10 is segmenting your audience. Now, it's very important to know that not every single episode should be designed to target this same aspect of your audience, right? Some is going to be targeted towards your warmer audience and some towards your colder audience as well. We're not going to dive too deep into the specifics, but it's very important to understand, because for your warmer audience, the way that you might curate your episodes is potentially going to lead them through to what you have to offer on the back end. You might be advising them to get more information on Facebook groups, school communities, free trainings, etc. That is going to be pushing them through your funnel, ultimately towards a back end sale.
And just taking them from not knowing you or being completely cold or completely unaware to now become problem aware and start getting the nurturing and education that they need, so that you can move them towards more of a consideration stage and eventually towards a conversion. And depending on the specific type of content that they have watched, you can have different call to actions at those different stages of the funnel. So really important to understand the segmentation of the audience, so that then your call to action can match the particular episode that you have.
All right, we need to increase the speed here. So not all views are made equal. A lot of people will think that 100 views versus 1,000 views, it is obvious that the 1,000 views is more powerful, more impactful. Not the case, all right? It is so important to understand that if you have 100 people who are downloading and listening to your podcast for a significant period of time, say a couple of minutes even, that is going to have significantly more impact than them simply viewing a reel, say on Instagram, that goes for say 15 seconds, right? If you're taking them from say 10 seconds to 100 seconds on your podcast, you are 10xing the amount of you that they are consuming, therefore likely to deepen those relationships with them. So it is way more impactful to have that 100 views in your podcasting format because it allows you to create those deeper relationships.
Number 12, stand up for something. You don't want to be neutral. This is something that absolutely will kill the desire of someone to get on board with whatever you have to sell or your tribe or your community. In order to build a tribe that people want to be a part of, you need to show up what you stand for. So don't be scared of some people having an opposite view to you or some haters. It's part of the game. So as long as you believe in it and it's in fully alignment with your core values, with your company, with your services, and what you believe to be truth, make content out of it and you will attract your dream customers.
Number 13, prepare for the show. There's no way we could get through 15 points in 10 minutes if we didn't have notes right now. It might be a little bit slower. Always prepare, always bring some notes. Don't overscript. Just keep it to what you need to get through the content.
Number 14, model but don't copy. Extremely important. Take inspiration. Definitely do your research because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are people out there, regardless, I don't care what industry you're in, there's someone out there that has managed to build a personal brand and is making millions of dollars in their backends. So all you need to do is actually have a look, analyze the best performing content and what are some of those subjects that clearly that market has shown interest that then you can take on and put your own spin to it.
And finally, number 15, build a world-class offer. If you do not have a valuable back-end service or product, you are simply not going to be leveraging the podcast to its full ability. You have anything else to add?
That is by far the single most important point. If you want your viral podcast system to make conversions in the backend, it doesn't matter how beautiful your content is, how great of a communicator you are, how great the hooks and retention is of your content and the call to actions. If you do not have a knockout offer in the backend to take those people already from really qualified or pre-sold to actual buyers and convert. So make sure that your offer is truly a no-brainer, that all it needs is to be presented in front of the right people, that ideally your podcast content already has been nurturing and educating and solving little problems and showing that you and your business have the track record and are the specific solution to what they desire and the problems and challenges that they're currently facing.
Alrighty. This has been a very content-heavy episode. I don't know that we have time to wrap up all 15 points, but they are in the show notes for each of you. Guys, that is 8 years of our podcasting experience crammed into just 10 minutes. Imagine what we can deliver to you if you gave us more than 10 minutes. Nelson, how could someone get more than 10 minutes out of us?
If you're a founder, business owner, or entrepreneur that is looking to build your online authority and attract premium leads with a viral podcast system, go check the links down below and feel free to schedule a free viral podcast system demo with our team. We'll see you on the next episode.
See you later. Thank you for joining us on Podcast Marketing Secrets. If you found value in this episode, the best way you can support us in continuing to deliver this content to you is by giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Now, if you're keen to connect with us, we are at Vibez Creative on all your other social media platforms. Please send us your questions, engage with us, let us know what you want to hear about next on the podcast, and we'll be sure to create content around that.
And if you're interested in partnering with us for the highest level of support for you to be able to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful podcast for your business or your personal brand, we offer different levels of support, starting from our services, one-on-one coaching, as well as our completely done-for-you system. So if you're interested in finding out more, book a call with our team down in the description below.